Hey YouTube, it's Marita and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. And in this edition, we're gonna do my very first Q&A. And if you want to see what nursing students or future nursing students are asking me and what my responses are, stay tuned. All right, so like I was saying, this is my very first Q&A. So students have either messaged me on Instagram or they have sent me an email regarding what their concerns are with nursing or nursing school. So I am going to answer those questions for them. And I will not call their names, but I will definitely answer their questions. So let's go ahead and get started. My first question came from someone via my email, and I will have my email in the description box so that you will, excuse me, know how to contact me if you have questions about nursing school or about nursing in general. So he says, "Hey Marita, how are you? I have so many questions, but I'm so nervous, but this is my dream, so I'll continue to push for it. I have a 3.0. Am I okay for nursing school?" So my response to that is this. A 3.0 is not bad. However, know that nursing schools are very competitive and that some of them require a 3.5 to even be looked at. But if all the applicants are 3.7 and above, then you may not get a chance to get into that program. So know that in advance and be looking now about what nursing schools or programs you would like to attend and see what the requirements are. So if you still are doing your prereqs, then you can tailor your prereqs, not tailor them, but you can make sure that you make the best grade possible in those classes so that you can build your GPA up. And if you've already taken those classes but didn't do well, got a C in the class, and you know you can do better, retake the classes to get your GPA up so that you can be in ranks with those higher competing students for those slots. All right, his next question was regarding prereqs. He says, what prereq classes would you say that are heavy in nursing school, and what do they really touch on? He said that he took anatomy the first year of college, so he has to brush himself up on that. So nursing school is really A&P based. So if you can get A&P 1 and 2 completed with a B or better, I know C is passing, but again, if you want to be competitive, you need a B or better. A&P chemistry was required for me. I mean, it was required for your program. Microbiology was required in their labs. So those are your big science classes that you need to know how to do. Mainly A&P 1 and 2 and microbiology in its lab that you need to know how to do and hopefully have a concept of how to apply those things. So that's the big thing with nursing school. It's not just regurgitating facts. It is taking what you know and applying it to a situation and you know, base your interventions based off of that. So that was that question. Now we have one more question, or not one more, but one more person. She asked several questions. So we're going to go ahead and start with hers. She says, I'm a pre-nursing student in Houston. I was wondering if you would have any advice to share about the journey to becoming a nurse. And so she said, what is it like? So for me, becoming a nurse, again, was more so an afterthought. It was nothing that I had planned to do to begin with. But the journey was just that, a journey. So when I decided to go to nursing school, it was because of the fact that the degree that I was already getting was not conducive to raising a family, being a single parent, and being off government assistance, if you know what I mean. So I had to find a job or a career choice that in which I could obtain and be able to do all the things that I just said that I wanted to do that the other degree, which was psychology, would not allow. So my journey was just that. So I ended up finishing the degree in psychology, but before doing so, I applied to 3 different nursing schools. I applied to one school in which I was already attending that school for the psychology degree. I applied for another school because at the time that's where my boyfriend was going to be going. And I applied to another school that was between those two schools, but it was a private school. So after I applied to all three schools, I actually got accepted at all three, but then I had to kind of narrow it down. So the school that my boyfriend was going to at that time required 29 hours of prereqs. Now, mind you, I already had a degree in psychology. So a lot of those classes will transfer over to your new program if you already have a degree from an accredited institution. So, but I still needed 29 hours. And I'm like, it would take me another probably a year or so to get into their nursing program. The one at the private school, well, it was a private school. And like I told you, I was a single parent. I don't even know why I applied to that school, really. I didn't know that they didn't have scholarships available or readily available. I did not know, how that worked, but I did know that I wanted to try. And after I went to an interview for my position, for my spot for that program, I realized that it was not as diverse as I would like it as well. I would have probably been the only minority in that school. So can't afford it, number one, and I did not like the lack of diversity in that school. So I ended up at the school that I got my psychology degree from, which was really a win-win for me because my family was still there, so they could help me with my children for childcare concerns, or wanted to go to clinicals, they could pick them up from childcare. And I only needed 12 prereqs to get into the nursing program. So that's the school that I chose. So I stayed basically at the same school I was at. They transferred my hours over, and I had to get, so picture it. I graduated from my psychology degree in May of 2002. I was conditionally accepted into the nursing program provided I completed my prereqs before school started August of 2002, which means I had to do those classes during the summer. So I had to take two chemistry classes. We took chemistry 1 and 2 and their labs and microbiology and its lab in the summertime. And if you know anything about summer courses, they're typically only about 8-week courses. So I had to take those 3 classes in the summertime before I could start my nursing program in August of that same year of 2002. So that's kind of what it was like for me. It was just basically that journey to get to nursing school was just that. I did not do well when it came to my psychology degree. I was just taking classes to be taking classes. So I was not doing good I did good in my psychology classes, but my science classes I did not do good in. But then I realized I wanted my GPA to come up because I thought I was going to go back to school to get my master's at some point, which I did, but not in psychology. So I wanted to repeat some classes to get my GPA up. So I ended up repeating those science classes anyway. So the A&P class that I was talking about earlier, we have to take A&P 1 and 2, anatomy and physiology, if you don't know what A&P is, 1 and 2. And I had, I think, D's in them, which is passing, but, I needed to bring my grades up. So I took A&P 3 times. The third time was the charm. I passed it. So I do recommend making sure that you take those classes that you need and make sure you have pretty good grades in those classes so that you will be well prepared for nursing school. So at the time, I didn't realize I was retaking those classes because in the future I was going to go to nursing school. I just thought I was retaking them just to build my GPA up to get into my master's program that I never, applied for. So definitely do that. That was my journey into nursing school. Her next question was, do you have any regrets on anything you may have missed out on while you're trying to get into nursing school or after? So let me think. Any regrets on, well, unfortunately for me, I had babies very young. I wouldn't say very young, I had them as adults, but I was a teen pregnancy, meaning that I got pregnant at 19 and I had my first daughter at 20. And then I got pregnant again and had my second daughter at 22. So even though that's not a teenager, it's definitely young. And being a single parent at that point in time, it was very difficult. So trying to juggle all those different things at the same time with going to school, I can't say I have regrets because of the fact that I couldn't do anything anyway, if that makes sense, because of the fact that I had young children. And I had to be home for the kids. So I couldn't go out on dates. I couldn't go to the movies. I couldn't do this, that, and the other. But when it comes to the sacrifices that are made for nursing school in itself, you kind of have to make up your mind that you want this program more than anything that you know. So if that is the case, you're not going to want to go out to party all the time because you want to make sure you do well on your test, and you want to be ready to go to clinical, and you want to do everything right. So you're not going to want to go out as much. I do recall it being so difficult in terms of time consuming that my advisor said, you know what, you need to go out tonight. She told me that. My advisor said, you need to go out tonight. You know, it was around Halloween time of that year. And so she said, you need to go to the movies or do something. You were so stressed. And that's when I realized the importance of self-care and doing things for yourself. And I'm in my doctoral program now. So again, master's back then, doctoral, not master's, bachelor's back then, doctoral now. And I'm really big on self-care. So now I'm making sure that I find time and carve out time for myself to go to the gym, or, you know, go to a movie or to a concert, things like that, to kind of keep my mind at bay and having that balance, so to speak. So no regrets in terms of going through nursing school. I wanted it so bad that I didn't mind the sacrifices that I had to take in order to get through nursing school. And then the second part of her question was any regrets of missing out on things after nursing school. No, not really for me either, just because of the fact after school, because once I started my career, I was now able to keep in mind as a nurse, you're only working 3 days a week. So I had 4 days off, you know, per week to do whatever I wanted to do. And I found that after having more money, because I was working now and having the children, that I really didn't have any issues or concerns with being able to go out and do things. I just scheduled my things accordingly. Now, did I miss a few things here and there? Of course. You know, I worked night shift and I would be sleeping. And even to this day, I'm still missing things. I can't go to every concert I want to go to. I can't go out of town when I want to go out of town because I have other priorities. So I think as you grow and mature in nursing itself, and then just in general in age, you will see what's most important. And I will say this, I do align myself with friends that have similar taste that I do. So you're not going to catch me in the clubs. You're not going to catch me doing those types of things. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But I will say this, you cannot be posting things to social media websites if you want to maintain a good job and you don't want to have whatever you're doing out there be a factor. So if you know you're doing something you shouldn't supposed to be doing, or you wouldn't want certain people to see, like your managers or future employers, do not put it on social media. Have fun, but don't put it on social media. So that's one thing I will say. Not her question at all, but since I got off on that tangent, I did want to share that you definitely want to make sure that you are doing things that are either appropriate, and if they're not appropriate, that no one else finds out about it. It's not on social media or things like that. So I don't really have any regrets. I am happy that I'm a nurse. I'm happy about the money I make. I'm happy about the options that we have in nursing in terms of the money I make, the options we have in nursing. I can travel more. Now that I've been a nurse for almost 15 years, I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do. I have options now. I'm a doctoral student in nursing. So there's just a lot to be had when it comes to that. So I don't mind the sacrifices regarding things that I didn't get to do back then. And to be honest with you, I'm doing a lot of those things now. Part of that is because I had children very early. So where some people would have their children in their 30s, so they got to spend their teens, 20, you know, all their 20s traveling and having fun and doing things like that. Well, I was at home taking care of kids. But now that they are older, I do have 4 in total. So I have a 20-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So the baby is 6 years old. And I do have to still stay at home and do things with him or with them because I do have younger children. But I do find myself being able to go out and do things and have fun. Just last year, I went to Vegas for the first time and stayed at the Bellagio Hotel on a girls trip. And again, 40 years old having your first girls trip, but that was what I had to do because I had the girls early. So it is what it is. I had to sacrifice, but I'm having fun now. So if you don't do it on the front end, hopefully you can do it on the back end as your kids grow up, whatever your circumstances are with life. Her next question was, Did you ever find a balance between school and your social life? So that kind of ties into that last question that I just responded to. Um, yes. Sometimes in nursing you have it's rough, but then after I went PRN, then I had no problems with finding more so a balance. So I'm PRN at the hospital that I work at. I am a nurse educator, so I do teach nursing students. I teach at the LPN level, the 2-year RN level, and the 4-year RN level. So I have an understanding of all 3 levels, and my job kind of wraps around that. So I have that going on, but also I'm able to still travel and do the things that I want to do. I just think that naturally in life you have to kind of pick and choose what's best for you at the moment. Um, if we were talking to my 26-year-old self, then I couldn't do anything. I didn't have really a life balance, work balance. Now that I'm 40, I have more of a life work balance because I actually understand the importance of doing me and telling people no if I have to tell people no. And so that's something else that you need to learn how to do. I don't know how this student was, pre-nursing student was, but if she is younger, she's not going to be where I am 15 years into the game. And that's one thing I had to learn for myself. I would look at other nurses who have it together and they have nice houses and they're able to go shopping when they want to and they don't have to struggle and on and on and on. But they're also 20 years older than me. So therefore, they don't have any small kids or having grandkids at this point in time. It's just them and their husband or just them by themselves. They're able to take their money and spend their money on what they want to spend it on. They're not spending it on kids and things like that unless they choose to, because their children are adults and they may be, helping with the grandchildren, but they are not required, at least by law, to do that. So I find that, now that I'm kind of moving into that mode where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not where I want to be, but I'm headed in that direction. I do have more freedom today than I had at 20. When I was 20 years old, I had my oldest one at 20. So I had her at 20. She's 20 now. We're 20, 20 years apart, obviously. And, I've been able to grow and learn from those mistakes that I made back then. I always say, you know what? I've had to tell nursing students, you need to get on some birth control, because every time I look up, they're pregnant and they're wondering why they're failing these courses and they're wondering why this is going on. And I mean, you need to get on birth control if it's not a religious, like a practice that you have to do that. But I'm saying for the person I'm talking about, it wasn't nothing religion. It's just being irresponsible. So if you're going to do the actions that get you pregnant, you need to make sure you take precautions so that if you do get pregnant, it wasn't because you just didn't do anything. And you're wondering why you're struggling. Well, if you have 3 kids and you're 23 years old and you're trying to go to nursing school and you're tired and you're stressed and you're this, that, and the other, then that's what you kind of did to yourself. The same I did for me. So I'm not judging anybody because I'm talking about myself too. I did that too. Had a baby at 20, had another baby at 22, and did not stay with the father in those situations. And it's the same father for both of them, but did not stay with the father. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm talking about myself. So don't think I'm coming on here bashing, or being judgmental. Nope, I'm talking about me because I did the exact same thing where I went and got pregnant. But the one thing I did do was I stayed in school. I didn't make any excuses. I said I'm going to do the best I can do with what I have. And just so you know, I had 3 degrees by the age of 29, despite I had all those two girls. 3 degrees by the age of 29. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology in 2002. I did finish nursing school and got my BSN in 2004. And then I got my master's in 2008. And next year, I'm 15 months away, 2020, I will have my doctoral degree. So if you think about 2020, when I finished this degree, from the time I finished my master's degree in 2008, look how many years that is. That is 12 years between those 2 degrees. So what I chose to do this time was to say, you know what? I'm married at this point in time. I want to have more children. So let me focus on that. And that's what somebody mature does and responsible does. Not what I was doing back in the day, was just willy-nilly just having babies and stuff like that. I said, I want to have more children, but I do want to go back to school. So which one do I want to do first? And because, as you know, I'm an OB nurse too. So with your maternal clock, I had to have those babies, I won't say quick, but I wanted to have them. I have high risk pregnancies, so I wanted to have them sooner than later so that I could be done with that component of my life and move on to school. And you can go to school at any age. I have students in my classes who are 50 years old, 60 years old. So you can go to school whenever you want to go to school. So that was a choice that I made. So yes, it's going to take me 12 years between the 2 degrees to get the degree. But by the age of 42, which is what I'll be next year, I will have 4 degrees. So not bragging, I'm just simply stating I started off pretty rough. I was humbled by the experience, having 2 children out of wedlock. As if you're into that, you know, you care about all that, but that was my story. And I did not marry the father. We broke up, and I moved on, he moved on, and that's just kind of where it is. But at the same time, it's like, well, what do you do? I'm not going to sit around and sulk. And I wanted to be able to teach my girls at the time, and now my boys too, because I have 2 girls, 2 boys, at the time and now, that despite what life throws at you or what you get yourself into, because life didn't throw that at me, I did that on my own. You can come from that. You can come out of that situation if you work hard. If you work hard. And that's what some people don't realize. You have to work hard. People are not going to hand you no degree. They're not going to hand you a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or even LPN. They're not going to hand you any of that. You have to work for it. And if you haven't earned it, you haven't earned it. Don't blame society or nursing or whatever for the situation. I even had to tell a student last semester, I said, maybe you came back to school too soon knowing that you just had a baby last week and you're not able to cope with, you know, adjusting to being a new mom for the 3rd time, mind you, and nursing school. That's a reality. We have to kind of know where we are in that situation and know, you know, this is what we have to do. So anyway, those were my questions for this first round of Q&As for nursing. And I greatly appreciate those 2 people who, you know, sent those questions to me. If you have questions that you want answered regarding nursing, my nursing experiences, what I think about nursing, please leave a comment below. Or I will provide down there also my email, so you can email me privately regarding your question. And follow me on Instagram. It's the Nurse Lounge over there, but it's melaninRN_MPN. Again, melaninRN_MPN. And that is my page that I have for nursing inspiration and encouragement. I am on a doctoral journey as well, so you will see things on that page regarding my journey into this doctoral program. And so if, excuse me, if you enjoy videos like this, Q&As, please leave a comment below so I can create more. I thoroughly enjoyed answering those questions. It does me so much good to see nursing students wanting to know how this all works so they can kind of get their lives together around it. It can be done. You all will be fine. I was fine eventually, but you will be fine. And you know what? If you have any questions or concerns, comment below. Follow me on the other page. Subscribe if you are new. Subscribe if you're old but have not subscribed yet. And just so you know, in the lounge, we talk about a whole lot of different things. So in the lounge, we talk about nursing, obviously, but I love fashion and beauty, makeup, skincare, fitness. And I am on my doctoral journey as well. So you will see all those things in the lounge. You gotta pick and choose what suits you, but please subscribe regardless. So that way you'll know the next time, notification bell for the next time that I upload a video, but subscribe so you could be in the lounge with us. We talk about all kinds of things in here. Something to definitely appease anyone. Until the next time, though, you all take care.